everybody. Welcome to Kapow. Jeff Underwood. This guy right here, Gary White. What's up, buddy?
Well, I'm just here in the honor of this is the Mayor Joe Taylor show. Mayor Taylor,
all day.
Introduce your very special guest.
It is a very special guest. Not every day that you have a
indeed.
congressman come rolling into your cities. But we've got Barry Moore. Barry Moore's congressman down in South Alabama. I've got a little place down in Fort Morgan, so he's my congressman down there.
There you go.
And so we've got him up here. He's in a race for the Senate position here, and really just in a race for Alabama to help us out. I mean, we've watched him as a congressman and been involved in just seeing all of the good things that he does.
Mm-hmm.
It's Barry Moore.
Whew, well, that for an intro.
Yeah, that's a nice intro.
Right there,
Dude, he should run for mayor.
It's almost like he knows what he's doing.
You should carry him around
Nice.
with you in your
Yeah,
pocket.
yeah.
That's
Everybody
right.
says take Joey, you'll be all
Yeah,
right.
That's right. Congressman, welcome. Thank you for stopping by.
Glad to be here, guys. It's an honor.
There's so many things that we want to talk to you about, but this is Mayor Taylor show, so we're going to let him lead the way, but we want to dive in. We're excited to have you on and thankful for the things that you do for
Amen.
our state. And I'll be in your area next week going down
That's
to
right.
Fort Morgan.
That's right.
Joe's not letting me stay at his place, but I'm going down there. And
He doesn't carry enough insurance.
not enough insurance, right? The liability policy is just not right, is it? But we're excited that you're here. Thank you for just hanging out with us for a little bit.
Great to be with you guys. It's always an honor. My wife's from North Alabama, so we travel these roads pretty often. But to be in here and get to meet new friends, man, it's a game of addition, and I'm glad and honored to be a part of this show.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian.
His wife was born in the Holy Name of Jesus Hospital. So Holy
Really?
Jesus girl, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
She says she was a Catholic for 4 days.
for 4 days. That's right. That's right. Yeah. I told her. I said I was born at the old Baptist hospital
Yeah,
over
me
in front of
too.
Gadsden High School,
It makes sense.
and yeah, it does make a lot
It
of
does.
sense, you know. And then got sick when I was a kid, and ended up in the Holy Name of Jesus Hospital for about a week. So I was about a 7-day Catholic. So
Heck yeah.
I've been all over the place, man.
I'm just saying,
Seems like it. That's
everybody around here is Baptist
Yeah.
until they hear or think they got a ghost or need an exorcism.
That's
Then everybody calls the Catholic
Everybody
Church.
calls
now.
it.
Is that what it is?
That's a Notre Dame thing.
I'll skip
It is. Go Irish.
I'll skip
Go Irish. Well, I thought you were going to be a very good guest on the show. We're going to enjoy you, but I just found out that you're friends with the Butler family.
We are. Mac and I served in the legislature together,
Yes, sir.
and he is a dear friend and just a man of faith. And so we became friends, kind of bonded over that. I was there from 2010 to 2018, and it's nice to have men of faith in those trenches
Amen.
with you. Whether it's in Washington D.C., Montgomery, Alabama, or in City Hall, you always need people around you that pray for you.
Sure.
And for Mac, he was a prayer warrior, but he was a good conservative fighter. And so he was one of those foxhole friends. You build bond with those guys. And so it's just he's a dear friend, and his family's been good to us. And so we're honored to know him and call him friends.
Yeah, we have to put a time limit every time Mac preaches here at our church. We put a time limit on
That's
Mac.
Give him about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
5 minutes and an altar call, boys. Let's get it done.
It'll take 45.
That's right.
He's going to preach the gospel, talk about the
Amen.
United States history. I mean,
Yeah,
he's just going to get it
He's
all.
going to use the term founding fathers
That's
4 times.
No doubt about it. No doubt.
Heavenly
Right.
Father once, founding father 4 times.
That's right. That's right.
He gets it in. So we got ask your questions, and we'll funnel them through here. Thank you, everyone, for jumping on and watching. Thank you for all the sponsors. Here's a good one. Say you get elected, or when you get elected, what's the very first thing you would like to try to accomplish?
So I think for us right now, it's vitally important to get the executive orders that President Trump has. He does them with a pen, right? And their executive orders, there's 350 of them. But if we don't codify that, if we don't get that through the process, through regular order, through the House, through the Senate, and signed, then the next president with a pen and a phone can undo everything he's done. That's why you see presidents today that sworn in, they go signing all these executive orders, often undoing their predecessors' work. And so that looks, in a lot of ways, it's a heavy lift. He did 350 when he wasn't in D.C. and brought them prepared. And I've got 5 now on immigration that I'm working on. I just introduced the America First Immigrations Act, 5 of his executive orders, because we need to codify that. In addition to that, the Save America Act is languishing in the Senate right now. It is where it just simply requires that you're a U.S. citizen with an ID that you vote in American elections. That's an 80% issue. And so those are the kind of things, if we want to secure this republic for the future, we've got to make sure we start taking care of putting Americans first, certainly on immigration and election policies. And so those are the things we've got to tackle, guys.
Yeah, I think from our side, just understanding what Barry just got through talking about, which is the fact that he's got experience in doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
You know, to me, and I'm not going to disparage anybody else's name that's running or any other candidate. I just don't do that. But I can say that, you know, he's already spoken about the fact that he's worked in the state legislature. He's already in Congress now. And, you know, I think the biggest thing that he would do the first day is to move across the hall and become a senator and be active and actually do the work beginning day one.
You only got
Once
24
he moves
months,
that
Joe.
desk, I mean, he's ready to go to work. And I think that's the part of this where you'll hear people say that we need term limits or all the other things that have become so sexy to say now as far as politics. But the one thing that we need in Washington, D.C. is experience and seniority. And you have to start out with some time to do that. And Barry's got time.
And one thing, too, to point out, Joe, literally, they call you a career politician. I've been in D.C. the exact same amount of time that Donald Trump's been there. We've been there 5.5 years. And so, but one thing that people don't realize is you do go to work day one because you got most of your staff, you go across the hall. But if you're already in Congress, you get preferential treatment on Senate committees. Mm-hmm. And so that counts towards longevity. And so we've got a young senator in Katie. She's been in 4 years now. Mm-hmm. Coach is leaving. He served 6. Him and I went to D.C. at the same time. So that seniority starts to matter. And when you're trying to get on those committees that impact Alabama, you need to have that preferential treatment on selection for committees. And so that's something that people don't know about. And granted, they call you a career politician, but when I remind people I've been there 5.5 years, that's not that long in Washington, D.C. You can find most of the tunnels in your way around, but that preferential treatment on committees is huge, and the relationships too, because I call the president, he takes my calls. If Alabama needs something, we can talk to him and say, sir, this is what we need for our state. And he's a good friend and he's an ally. And so, and he knows I've been in the trenches with him since 2015. So,
well, see, that's not something that you can just pick up. Mm-hmm. You can't decide to move to Washington, D.C., get a BRBO, and the next day be able to make a phone call to the president. Mm-hmm. And that's not taken away from anybody else. It's just experience matters here. You know, the ability to do your job at a higher level and start out at that high level, that's critically important to me as a mayor, because, the CDS process, of congressional directed spending, us coming up to meet with our guy from Alabama and say, these are our needs. We have an infrastructure need, and being able to walk into an area where he's been doing that for years, that matters to us in a major way.
One of the things, and for people in Etowah County and North Alabama and really wherever that watch or listen to our show, our podcast, they may not know everything they need to know about Barry Moore. I mean, they obviously see your name, they see you on television, they see your articles and things that you put out in your statements. And one thing that I really appreciate that you stand on is your relationship with the Lord. I love that you're very vocal about it. That's huge to us and to Mayor as well, that you're very vocal about your faith. It's not hidden. Because faith is not a hidden thing. It's a private relationship that always shows itself publicly. Yes. And we're so thankful that you stand on that publicly. But for people in our area and our listening audience that maybe don't know that you're from Coffee County or wherever, tell them a little bit about you and your family real quick. I think that's extremely important.
Yeah,
I know you're proud of them. Now.
So Heather and I have been married going on 34 years. She's from North Alabama. We met at Auburn, and 26 years ago we started a garbage company. So I still have my CDLs, and I literally drove the garbage truck. And so when the party came to me in 2006, our business was young, our kids were young, and they said, Barry, would you run? I said, I'm not running. They won't even run for state legislature. I hate politics. I'm not doing this. And so 2010, I told the Lord, because Barack Obama said in 2008, we're no longer a Christian nation. And I told Heather, if they ever ask us, we better be willing to step up or we're going to lose in this fight. And so 2010, when the party came and said, would you run for state legislature? I agreed to it because I felt compelled that we needed to engage in the fight. And got elected in 2010, and out of 105 House members, 35 state senators, I was always labeled the most dependable conservative vote. But what came with that was a target, guys. Sure. And so they indicted me. I was a General Flynn before there was a General Flynn in 2014. And so I had to make a decision to fight or to walk away. And literally my team of attorneys said, Barry, you should probably cut a deal and walk away. It'll be a little proffer agreement. Everything will be fine, but you got to get out of politics. And so I walk over to the carport. My son Jeb was sitting there. He was 12. And I said, buddy, if we don't get out of this political thing, they're going to destroy us personally, financially, and politically. They're going to destroy us. And he said, well, Dad, I've been reading the book of Daniel. He said, when all those men bowed, and what do you say to a 12-year-old? He said, I got high-paid attorneys telling me, just cut a deal, walk away, get out of politics. Yeah. And he said, Dad, he said, when all those men bowed, there were men who stood. He said, I think as a family we need to stand. And so, guys,
That's awesome.
I faced 40 years in prison for my political stance and went through that. I was the General Flynn before there was a Flynn. But through October 30th of 2014, the Lord woke me in a hotel in Auburn, Alabama. He said, get up and go pray. And I had taught Sunday school, but I met the creator of the universe that day in a way I did not know. And he said, I'm going to call you to do some things you don't want to do. Mm-hmm. And so I sit here before you today as a man doing things that I don't want to do. Mm-hmm. But, you know, the Lord says that obedience was counted as righteousness for Abraham. And for me, this is a walk of obedience for our family. But having been in the fire and seeing the weaponization of the government against conservatives, when it happened to Trump, when it happened to Flynn, when it happened to Mark Meadows, I knew what they were going through. And because I had experienced that on Judiciary Committee, I was able to call it out for what it was. But this whole thing has been a walk of faith for us because I saw my third grade teacher, Ms. Rollins, at Walmart months ago. And I walked up to her and she hugged my neck and said, baby, I'm so proud of you. And I said, well, thank you, Ms. Rollins. We all want our third grade teacher to be proud of us.
Sure.
I stepped back, looked at my third grade teacher in the eye and said, got to tell you, Ms. Rollins, never dreamed I'd be in Congress. She said, baby, I didn't either. But you just never know what the Lord's going to call you to do. Sure. But obedience, he can do so many great things with people. Throughout the Bible, flawed human beings that he just called to a fight for whatever that time was in history. And so for us, this is our fight.
Yeah. So good. Ton of questions here. We're going to get to one that we, one of our favorite, he tags everything America's mayor, Joe Taylor. Danny Starnes. Congressman Moore, if you had to pick just one thing from your political career that earned President Trump's confidence and led to the strong support and encouragement or endorsement of you, what would that be?
August 21st, 2015. I had come out of that trial and I agreed to serve one more term because I was leaving politics. And so Trump came to Mobile, Alabama, Ladd People Stadium. It was his first stadium event. And because I knew I had met the Lord in 2014 and he was going to call me to do some things. So we were in a bus on the south end of Ladd People Stadium. 30,000 people were there. And this was Trump's first stadium event. And so a fella knocked on the door and said, would any of you elected officials be willing to endorse Donald Trump today? Well, Heather and I immediately didn't. We were deer in the headlights because we had Walker coming from Wisconsin. We had Rubio coming from Florida. It was a 17-way primary. Trump had a less than 1% chance of getting the nomination, and conventional wisdom was he wouldn't beat Hillary. So Heather and I went down the hall of that bus and said a prayer, got a piece about endorsing a guy from New York City. Yeah. And so as we're going through the tunnel towards the stage, there were 4 elected officials that day that were willing to endorse this man at his first event. And my buddy looked at me and said, Barry, do you want to go first? Do you want to go last? And I thought, guess I'll go first. So I became the first elected official in the nation to endorse a guy from New York City who did not have a chance because we felt led by the Lord to do that. Yeah. And so he has seen me with him as the first elected official in the nation to endorse him. He has seen me in D.C. that he asked us to run. We've been there 5 years. I've never wavered. It's a fight because it's not about him, but it's about the future of the country. And if we're going to regain our government in the 250th anniversary of this country, this America First movement, that is how we do it. And so the Lord put me in a fight with a guy. And y'all, he said 3 cuss words that day from the stage, and I nearly died. I was like, oh, dear Lord. I felt led by the Lord to do it. And the dude gets up there and drops 3 cuss words. I'm like, we are so dead right now. But, like Joe Taylor. Yeah, just straight from New York. But, you know, I told him that story at Mar-a-Lago. He said, oh, come here. Why did you endorse me? I said, sorry, I just felt like that's where I needed to be. And so over time, we've developed a friendship. And it's because I've been with him since day one. Loyalty matters so much to him. And it's hard to find. It's hard to find.
So far, at Ladd People Stadium, I was able to broadcast a couple of football games there. Such an iconic place.
Yes.
It really is. Jeff, you want to read Mike's question?
Sure.
Or state? Yeah, it is a question.
How awesome is Heather Hopper Moore?
Oh my gosh. It's so great. Funny. She is amazing. I married, actually, Heather's the political mind. Like literally, growing up, she would go sit on the steps of the DeKalb County Courthouse and watch the election results come in as a child. She watched every moment of the Iran-Contra hearings in the 7th grade. Wow. I didn't know who the president was for 2 weeks. And it's like, so she was a comms major, public relations major that understands politics and appreciates it. Yeah. I was just a garbage boy from Batten's Crossroads. But the Lord teamed us up. And literally when I was in the state legislature, my buddies would be like, Heather, if you run against Barry, we'll donate to you. They told her that all the time. But we travel together. And guys, the relationships with the spouses in D.C., those families, Mark and Debbie Meadows, Jim and Polly Jordan, Warren and Lisa Davidson, just those women that pray for their spouses and are in the fight, in the trenches, there's a bond that you build in that. And so having her, like when I announced I was running for the Senate, she texted all her girls and said, hey, Y'all's husband's maxing out. My husband's running for the Senate. They go to writing checks. And so it's all part of that relationship. But she is really the political. My son said it best. He said, Dad, he says, Mama's the brains, you just the face. And we get that. We're okay with it.
That's right. You better
Great,
be all right.
great
with
question,
that.
Mike.
Good man.
Great question.
That's so funny.
Yeah, if you hear Heather speak, I think Barry's a pretty smooth speaker himself, but he can't talk like she can.
No.
That chick, she's got so much passion in what she says, and she believes in what they are doing, and she believes in them doing it as a team, and that's just so hard to beat, and it's so rare now that that you can have a spouse that literally pulls up next to their husband and decides to push him forward, push him out there, and make him do uncomfortable things.
Guys, when I announced I was running for the Senate, when they redrew me. I was a House Freedom Caucus guy. When the courts came after us, they drew me out of my district. I was in 2, and they drew me into 1. And so we had to run in District 1. The Lord would not let me announce that I was going to run until the day of my verdict, October 30th, 9 years, 10 years later, whatever that was. And so the Lord wouldn't tell me. When he finally told me, I said, we only got 100 days. And so, but we had votes in D.C., me and my opponent. So Heather would go speak for me. So she spent 60 nights and 100 nights in hotels. True story. When I announced I was running for the U.S. Senate, they polled my congressional district. She was 20 points ahead of the former member. They just loved her. It's like she is just that person. And so, but she's always said, my job is to help you do what we need to do for the future of the country.
That's all said.
Joe, you know all about that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, no doubt about it.
My wife pushes me too, but it's to take the trash out.
Sure.
Get
off the
Don't come back.
That's
so
funny.
funny. So it's a great statement just made right here. It says border control and a lot of exclamation points.
Yeah.
I
So
know
it's a huge issue. I mean, the president ran on cleaning up the border. And guys, it's kind of like reminds me when you got a water leak, and the first thing you do is shut the pressure off at the road. So what we had to do was build a wall and shut the pressure off. And part of the pressure was we were giving them a cell phone, $800 a month, and a Disney Fast Pass to come to America. We didn't vet those people. So we had millions coming to this country. So now that we've got the pressure off, we're actually net exporting people right now. But now there's a mess inside the house because we had a water leak. It flowed with a tremendous amount of pressure. We've got the pressure off of it. Now we're trying to clean up the mess. And so that's a process we're going through. I mean, Tom Homan, those guys, because we had millions come here. We literally had over 300 that are on the terrorist watch list. We don't know where they're at. We lost 300,000 children, unaccompanied minors in this country that was sent to sponsors. We didn't background check. So those children are being trafficked. So as we go through that process, but border security, you cannot have a nation if you don't have a border. And we've had an invasion. We haven't had, a lot of these people don't want to assimilate. That's the problem. They came here not with the intention to assimilate. They get on the government dole and undermine our Constitution. And so that's a fight we're in. And the border is one of the top issues the president has addressed. And he ran on that and he won on that. And so that's one of the things we've got to work on, and we're doing what we can to fix it.
It's one of the things we were talking about before the show, before you guys got here, the drug problem. And there's a huge drug problem here in Alabama and across the nation. And somebody had, one of the YouTube folks was asking about how big really, from your point of view, the 30,000-foot view is the fentanyl problem in the United States.
It was huge. 130,000 children we lost. And the thing was, too, from my hometown, but when I went to the border, and I went 3 different times, what we found out was that if you were coming from just south of the border, you'd pay the cartel about $5,000 or $6,000. If you were further south in the Triangle Nations, Guatemala, that area, then it was $7,000, $8,000, $10,000. If you were coming from Russia, it was $19,000. Chinese were paying $80,000, and they were being smuggled in. But what we found out was what the cartel would do was they would give you a backpack of heroin, cocaine, or fentanyl. And so what would happen is if you would mule that drug across the border, that paid your entry fee. Mm-hmm. So what happened, we had people pouring across the border with backpacks of fentanyl, and that stuff is so fatal. I mean, it's pretty intense. They say the end of a pencil will kill thousands of people, and so that stuff started getting laced, and we started losing children to that. And so, the Dems tried, it's not, that's coming through. It wasn't coming. It was coming in backpacks, so you had one of two choices. You could be an indentured servant. You could come here and pay that money back to the cartel. You could make monthly payments, or you could be a drug mule. And that was the border policy under the Biden administration. And so those drugs, and it wasn't marijuana. That was the cheap stuff. If you were coming across, you were bringing the high dollar dangerous drugs, heroin, cocaine, or fentanyl. And that's what killed so many of our children.
Well, we hear a lot of, stories. We have 2 members of the church whose son is a border patrol in Arizona, and some of the stories we hear is unbelievable,
horrific.
Yeah, it's crazy. Cody Laster says, "Hello, boss."
Hello, Cody.
Your boss said, "Get to work."
Back to work. Of course, he's on his break, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
No doubt.
Good mayor gives his people breaks.
Exactly right. So the press conference we saw from Vice President J.D. Vance yesterday talking about all the fraud and the billions of dollars. I can't comprehend those numbers. I went to Etowah, so my math don't math sometimes.
Yeah, a lot of zeros. A lot of zeros.
Talk about that if you can.
Yeah, so what we discovered, obviously, in Minneapolis was there was so much fraud in the Somalian community in Minneapolis, and there were literally suitcases of cash, 200,000 at a time, being shipped back to Somalia, and then to the hospice. And thank goodness for Nick. I mean, he just went out with a cell phone and documented his stuff, and he's testified to us in Judiciary Committee. But it was literally the amount of fraud. They think that half of the federal deficit was probably fraud over time, because we were just printing money. We weren't doing any background checks. Same with this hospice fraud. And so, I never forget, the Democrats gave President Trump such a hard time about $4 or $5 billion for the southern border. Oh, it's too expensive. But billions were stole, and they didn't want to check in on it. Tim Walz and those guys in Minnesota were just sweeping it under the rug. And I believe this, guys. I believe that so much of that money that we send offshore, whether it's USAID, which we did away with, some of this foreign aid, and a lot of that filters back to those politicians' pockets. The more you watch it, the more you realize there's no way their net worth goes up that much, And so it's like Ilhan Omar. Her financial disclosure showed $30 million net worth in just a few 4 or 5 years. Oh, there was an error there talking about zeros. It was really $76,000 is my net worth. How do you go from 30 million to that? Right. So she's trying to sweep it all on the rug. So those are the kind of things that Todd Blanche, the acting Attorney General, those are the things we've got to uncover. And there is so much fraud within our government, and it's people who, like I said, are taking advantage. I mean, 47% of the Afghan community that are here on aid, and 42% of the Somalian community, they're taking our money, and they don't even love our country. They're just here for what they can get, and most of them are undermining our Constitution.
You're in Congress, and somebody wanted to ask, and this is one thing that Jerry and I talked to somebody about. Why now? Why do you want to be in the United States Senate?
Well, for me, again, it's like you got 24 months with President Trump in November, the greatest president in our lifetime. And so if we don't send somebody to the U.S. Senate that can go day one, we don't have 150 days to train somebody. We need guys that have relationships, that know the president. And if we're going to get these executive orders done, it can be a learning process. It needs to be an efficient process. And so that transition, and again, they called us and asked us to do this. This was not something I wanted to do because I had a 1st Congressional District. I'd only been there 1 term, 2 years. I'm like, Lord, don't make me do this. But, he told me, he didn't tell me this was my call, and he didn't say this is your ministry. The word he gave me was, this is your assignment. Wow. And so, again, it goes back to walking in obedience. And so, and he's been so very faithful. I mean, for the president to endorse as early as he's had, the turning point endorsements, all the people that came on, guys, I think I can bring world peace. Literally, normally I fight the system in D.C. They've set this one out. The president's with me. The conservatives are with me. And so it's been a God thing, but it's just a calling and just walking in obedience.
There you go. So we got somebody from your neck of the woods watching, O'Neill Boswell.
Oh, my goodness. O'Neill, what's up, buddy? Him and Miss Terry.
I'm in the car. Would you call me?
Yeah. That's exactly right. He's a great guy. We went to school together, and he's been a strong supporter of mine.
He's a different kind of dude. People who don't really know him, because when he's at the car dealership, it's customer service, that. Sure. You get in his office and he closes the door, that dude is something.
Oh, he is something. He'll go picking a guitar and singing if you
will.
They're telling a story.
Right.
Yeah, he is a great friend. I can't believe he actually reached out. That's
we had
good.
a dealership here in town.
Oh, gotcha. Good deal.
What's that going on?
Somebody wants to know, do you still believe that Alabama, I think you made this statement, I heard you make this statement, that Alabama is the heartbeat of the conservative movement. Do you think Alabama is still the heartbeat of the conservative movement, and can Alabama affect Washington with real change?
Alabama is going to be the spiritual beginning of the movement in the nation, because there was a pastor that when I was running for Congress that he did a prayer meeting in all 67 counties. That's what the Lord told him to do. And so the Lord told me to go to his meeting one night. And so I went to that meeting, and there is something about Alabama that the Lord's doing, and I don't know what it is, but there's an opportunity for us to lead the spiritual movement in the country. And so I don't get God sometimes. He's way bigger than me and smarter. But literally, he had me go to Kent Maddox's meeting and down there. And honestly, it was because I was told to go. I felt compelled to go. And so we went to that just in obedience because, it was like, Lord said, do this. And so I did what he told me. But there's something Kent told me. And the more I realized that there was an outpouring of what God's going to do in this country, but it's going to start in this state. And so there are those of us who feel called to be in that fight. And I think it's going to be more than just changing America for Guys, it's a spiritual battle.
Yeah.
It's not a political battle. There's no way you get the trans and the Islam guys, the Muslims, on the same side of an issue unless it's a spiritual line.
That's right.
They would never be in the same fight against us if it wasn't a spiritual battle. So it's not political because they don't agree. The feminists didn't come to us and help us when they started putting men in women's sports.
Mm-hmm.
They set that one out. So that, again, you start seeing these battle lines, and it's not Republican versus Democrat, left versus right, whatever versus whatever. It is a spiritual battle. And that's what we have to understand. We're not fighting against flesh and blood.
That's right.
Ooh, gotta preach right there. In fact, I've heard him preach it a couple times.
You bring Kent Maddox into this thing, it's getting real.
Well,
Hey, man,
love
bro.
Kent.
I didn't know if y'all knew him, but I was like,
Yeah,
dude,
absolutely.
the Lord told me to go to his
Yeah.
thing, and he was doing 67 counties. The Lord had led that to him. And so I went to his Coffee County deal.
Yeah,
and
I went to a meeting with Walt Maddox, but it was totally different.
Yeah,
It was
I know
way
Walt.
different, wasn't it?
Yeah, I know what.
It was way different. Let's see, what was this? Thank you for all the questions, everyone. Appreciate you doing that. I saw a good one, but I lost it. It was really to the point of, what do you think is the biggest misconception that DC has when it comes to Alabama?
I think for us, it's the disconnect, right? I mean, in many cases, and you deal with this with my own staff, is you get into that bubble up there, right? And everybody's they're in the DC bubble, the swamp. And so I have to often, and they're young, and they want to keep their jobs. And so they want their member to get reelected. And so a lot of times on hard votes, they try to pull you to the middle or to where the lobbyists are or where the system is. And that, to me, is the disconnect, because they want to keep their jobs, and I get that. But there's something far bigger than your job, even my job. If it means I lose my race, that's okay. Let's do what's best for our kids and grandkids. And so there's a disconnect. And district staff could tell you that. And my wife, because she's pretty plugged in Alabama, she's on them all the time, like, you can't do this. You're gonna cause problems, because that's not how the people in the state feel about the issues. And so there is a disconnect there, but I think it's because they're in that bubble of big government, and I'm trying to live in a world of a big God, right? And so you're constantly battling that, the power and the structure of, do we do the DC thing or we do the thing for the states? And so there is a disconnect. You deal with it. That's a battle.
What is the hardest thing? We're all familiar with the lawsuit and the case brought against you and the charges, all that, the indictment. But what's the hardest single thing since you've been in office, period, whether it's your house or in Congress? What's the single moment that goes, you know what, that was probably the most difficult thing to really get through as a person?
You mean personally or as a vote?
Or you can do both.
Obviously, I think going through that indictment, but and the kids will tell you that was the worst time. We call it the terrible awful in the Moore family, but as bad as it was for our family, it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
I've heard you say that before.
And it's hard to relay that. But the Lord got me to a point that night in that hotel. He said, "This is not your tearing down. This is your bringing up." 3 days in the belly of the whale. He said, "You remember Paul on the road to Damascus?" And I said, "I do." He said, "I'm going to call you to do some things you don't want to do." And for me, but that was the best thing, because he gave me such a guy, because there is a God, and he is the lion and the lamb at the same time, right? And so after I got my not guilty verdict, I went back to my house, and this is weird. I'm a Baptist drum playing deacon in a Baptist church, so I can't explain. I can't explain this to you,
We got to set out there,
brother. I'm a little rusty, but he would have me go around my house and pray at 3:47 in the morning for 2 weeks. It was the weirdest. Heather thought I had lost my mind. I thought I had lost my mind. But around behind that old propane tank behind my house, I met the lion and the lamb, and I was in the presence of a holy God. But at the same time, there was that love, that lamb, just like you want to be in that, right? And so he called me to start journaling. And every morning, just about without fail, I'm on journal number 6. Being in his presence, I'm hungry for that.
Amen.
And so that has been the transition for me. It has been the worst thing that ever happened and the most glorious thing that I've ever experienced. And that lion and lamb, when he is the lion and he is the lamb, and when you're in his presence, man, you're a man of unholy lips, unclean lips. But when you're in the presence of that, that's where you want to be. There's a love like I have not ever experienced in that. So I'm seeking that all the time.
Amen. Last time I was up at 347, it was because of El Tapatio. That's a whole different
Where'd y'all
story.
find this guy?
We ask ourselves that
Yeah,
question.
where in the world did y'all find
Joe
this?
and I will text you, why are we friends with him?
What did we do to deserve this?
I'm there across the bear.
That's right.
So, Joe, let me ask you this. You're around a lot of people, a lot of influential people, a lot of people who think they're important.
A lot of
Really?
them,
No,
yeah.
seriously, a lot
No
of people
doubt.
who think they're important. We're big fans of titles mean nothing on this
That's
show.
right.
It's
Amen.
just about
Amen.
Tell me about this guy. The
Well,
Joe Taylor
I
perspective.
think that's the thing is that, Barry and I have not known each other, but I knew about him. And I'll tell you how I knew about him was through his wife, where she came and spoke at the Republican dinner, and she got up and spoke of him in a way that made me believe that I could connect with who he is. And then just not long ago, we were able to get together, and what I found out was that everything that she said was the truth about him, and he didn't have to say it. He was living it out. And then, my trips to D.C., going up and then hearing the staffers inside the offices that I attend, because I go and see my people up there. But to hear the way they feel about Barry Moore is it's pretty incredible, because you don't have that crossing from office to office. But up there, and this is what I would say about Alabama's delegation, those staff members know each other. They spend time with each other. My daughter is up with Mike Rogers as an intern right now, and she's finding out that the world is so much bigger than what we think it is. And I think that's what I'm saying to not only the people here in my area, in my little corner of the world, but to the state of Alabama, is we've got to send somebody up there that knows how to live in that world. Now, he's not of that world, but he has to live in it. And his ability to manage and maneuver inside that system, inside that huge machine, that there's not very many things that threaten me or intimidate me, but going to D.C. and walking those halls can be a little bit intimidating for a local, small town mayor. But I can say this, we've got that delegation up there that believes in this state, that believes in this country. And I don't think inserting inexperienced people into that right now is the way to go. We really are at a crossover point where we've got to decide what direction we're going to go in. And we know what direction this man will carry us in. I believe that to my core.
Amen.
Or I sure wouldn't be sitting here putting my name with it. And that's just,
I believe that.
That's a fact.
I believe
that's just the way it is.
How Congressman, how dark is it? I mean, you're a man of faith, and we live in this world every single day. But you've seen darkness in your life, I'm sure. But describe to the people, if you even can, I mean, how the spiritual darkness that's there. I mean, is it just mind-boggling? I mean,
it is, because there's a mountain of government, there's a mountain of entertainment, there's a number of mountains that Satan has a lot of play in. And so I tell everybody, to me, it's like a candle underwater almost, like it's that dark. But again, it's a matter of surrounding yourself with people that pray for you. And actually, Heather, they call her the rug cutter, because when there's a problem, those spouses will call Heather and she will walk the floor and pray, whether it's a grandchild or it's an issue or whatever it is. And it's just, and I don't know if I should say this, but Debbie Meadows, Mark Meadows' wife, the former president's chief of staff, she will hit her knees and pray with you.
That's awesome.
And when you got those kind of people, man, you don't realize, I mean, he was in the Oval with the president every day, but his wife was a prayer warrior. And so when you've got people like that who are in the fight with you, no matter how dark it is, man, you can bring up the light and you can live that. And we've been able to do that. And, I was doing my quiet time with the Lord a few months ago, and I was fussing with God. I don't know if you ever do that.
Man, please, every day.
I bet you're a crybaby to God all the time. You
He
cry to God all the time.
already.
Whining all the time.
He stays aggravated with Jerry all the time.
And so I was like, Lord, because his word says he's no respecter of person, right? And his word said that. And I said, well, David, Lord, you said you're no respecter of person, but you said David was a friend of yours. How can I be a friend of yours? And he said, well, David was a man after my own heart. He said, what is my heart after? He's after the soul of man. He don't care about titles. He don't care about worth. He don't care about fame. You know what God cares about? The soul of man. And so to be a friend of God, you've got to align your heart with his heart. You've got to chase after what he chases after. And so for us, that's it. I mean, you're chasing man's soul. And that's, if I'm in front of the president or if I'm in front of a 7th grade class, I'm going to share my faith, because I want what God wants for the future of this country and for eternity.
Tell you what, you probably don't know this, but we actually had Joe come in and speak to our men's group. They still talk about that.
They do. Yeah.
Joe's a real. Don't let him fool you. Don't let him fool you.
He's got me fooled.
He's got a little preaching in him.
Oh, that's good.
I don't know what his fourth career is going to be a preacher.
Yes.
I'm qualified for the tithe. I'll say.
Hey, tide did go up that Sunday.
Did it
go
Yeah, did it go up? You did a good
I'm
job.
going to need you to visit youth group tonight. I'm going to call the youth group and see. Oh, my God.
Well, that's good.
Mayor,
That's
Mayor,
good.
what's one of the most important things to you? Obviously, faith is the paramount. It's your
Absolutely.
faith with the Lord and your family. We know that. We see that every single day. But what's the most important thing for you as a mayor running a municipality and that you would like to see out of your senator?
Yeah, I think it's the two words that you're supposed to never use about yourself, and that's integrity and character. I want people to know that I have integrity and character. I shouldn't have to go around and tell them. I think that's the one thing that Barry doesn't have to do. He doesn't have to go around. Same thing goes with Coach. I mean, everybody knows that he's my friend, and I believe the same of him. He's a man of integrity and character, and I claim friendship with Mike Rogers the same way. Robert Adderholt, another guy, and as I begin, I'm name dropping. I'll drop them in a minute, but as you begin to name drop people that have character and integrity, and you know that they don't just carry that in a superficial manner. Yeah. I believe that what we would find out then is that our state is exactly what y'all were talking about a few minutes ago, and that's at a place of spiritual awakening and a pivotal, just a absolute transfer and shift to a spiritual position. And I think that that's happening because of these guys. Mm-hmm. Now, again, and I know I'm screaming about experience over and over again. This is no time for us to decide to rotate our tires on the interstate. I mean, we've got a truck that'll run, that'll haul, that'll pull the weight, and we need to put that truck in keep it in service until there's something different that comes along. That's not right now. And if it were, I mean, I'm the mayor of change. I was the guy that came in and took over from a 16-year incumbent. It was time. Yeah. I just have to say it's not time right now. If it were, he wouldn't be sitting in here with me, and you guys know.
I know for sure.
And maybe that does play back to the two words, integrity and character. And I'm not going to put mine at odds with this world so that I can say that I've got a friend in a Congress.
Yeah,
they don't mean that much to me.
We know that. No, it's all good, brother.
But they really don't.
Great
that's
question.
The thing that we've
got
got
to do. Integrity, Mr. Mayor, one of your city council members. He said, "Oh wow!" Like he was surprised I said integrity with that. No. Non-political question: for or against butterfly farming?
Okay. See,
it was your city councilman said.
That's why they do that.
We should. Did you apologize before he came in here too?
Yeah, he knows that there's. Okay. We've got certain people on that council that love to antagonize.
Well, I'm just asking questions.
I think one thing that people that know us and watch this little show here, when we have political candidates in, we have them. I mean, we've had them for many years come in and sit here and sit in our other studio down the hall there, and your record speaks for itself. I mean, man, you go on there, you can look. If you guys want to know what his political record is, his voting record is, I typed in what is Barry Moore's voting record, and it comes up everything. And we know top 11 conservatives. You got the rating of one that votes more conservative than just about anybody in this country. So that's not what we do. I mean, if we want to know your voting record, that's a different show. Sure. We want to know who you are, the man behind that, and that's why we do. So those of you that are on, those of you that are secretly on under other names, that's not what we're going to do. You can look that up on your own. We want people to know you, and that's why it's refreshing that Mayor brought you in, because they need to know who you really are.
Sure,
and that's just what we do. So not apologizing to you folks that are watching. I'm just telling you that's who we are. And,
I am apologizing for Jerry Ramsey.
Yes. There's no apologizing for Jerry Ramsey. Zero. Activator.
He's one of my council members.
Gotcha.
He's got beautiful, fabulous hair.
Fabulous hair.
Yeah, brown-headed Fabio.
Strong.
That's right. Brown-headed Fabio.
What did you say he used on his hair? What was it? Soul Glow?
Soul Glow, yeah.
Soul Glow.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Yeah, you'll get a little on the back of that chair.
Oh, he will.
There's no doubt.
I saw him in the council meeting yesterday. Did you see how late? We always talk about your former councilman that used to lay back in the chair.
That's right.
Jared's way back there.
He gets all the way back there. Yeah.
Like a Cadillac seat.
Like he's driving on the east side of gas.
That's when you know you're in a good spot. When you're at a council meeting, you can lean back in your chair and not have to lean forward to see what's coming at you. You know that you're on the right council.
You have the most efficient city council meetings.
Yes, 13 minutes
that's
last
really
night,
true.
and we did a lot of work. Too.
And you even the Pledge of Allegiance was slow.
Yeah.
It was still just
I
13
slowed her
minutes.
down there. Yeah,
You did. It was
That's
unbelievable.
impressive. That 13 minutes,
I
that's
think
impressive.
I think that's one of the things that we're even talking about today, and about what needs to happen or what's going on in DC is to create that efficient mindset. Everybody knows that our city hall runs a little quicker, a little slicker than everybody else's, and that's not slick in the bad way. We're doing our business because we're running it like a business and not like the government. And I think that us continuing to send our experienced legislators to DC, the same as this city has put experienced legislators inside our small municipal government, it's allowing for us to make the machine work, and allowing for it to be efficient. And that's what we do. I mean, we do our argument behind closed doors, and everybody believes that that I have 5 yes men. And that is not true. I mean, it's just not. If you come to some of those work sessions, we had a work session yesterday, and there were things that came up that were uncomfortable. Sure. But we deal with them, lay them on the table, and then when we go down, we show our city a unified front, and we show, and for several reasons. Number one is we need to maintain decorum and be civilized human beings. But the second part is because we're in a position of economic development. It is our job, and I know that's one of Barry's things. He doesn't do CDS based on painting all the park benches yellow. He wants you to put infrastructure in front of him. Right. He wants you to put water and sewer in front of him, the safety of your community in front of him, and that's what my current congressman does in Mike Rogers, and that's what Robert Adderholt did before. They didn't go out there and do squandering earmarks. That's not what this group from Alabama does. They put something in the ground, on top of the ground, that strengthens our infrastructure and our ability to transport commerce throughout this state. And that's why our state's growing. That's why it's made in Alabama.
Absolutely.
That was good right there.
That's good.
Put that on.
We're
Play that back. Loop that through a couple times.
We're gonna play that back. Hey, this one, Mr. Mayor Taylor, it says, we know your relationship with Coach Tuberville. Would you mind talking about your relationship with Coach?
Yeah, so Coach and I campaigned together because when he was running in 2020, I was running. And so we became friends. We're both Auburn guys, so that was something we could talk about. But he and I, if you look at our voting record, the top 2 Liberty scores in the entire delegation, and I beat him by 1 point. I remind him of that often.
He's horrible at defense.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Every time.
Horrible at defense. But anyway, so we vote a lot alike, and so that was the thing. The president, we're friends, both of us, with the president, and so if you're going to replace him, and somebody's been there the same amount of time he has with a very similar voting record, very similar stance. But yeah, we're good friends. And he calls, we talk from time to time. And he did tell me, he said, you win this Senate seat, you can make a difference. And so he was one of the guys that encouraged us to engage. And so, he hadn't endorsed in this race, and I wouldn't expect him to running for governor, but he has been a good friend and an ally. Jordan, his chief, is from Heather's same hometown, so they've got that tie too. So we've been close and worked close with him. And so he's a good friend and an ally. In Congress.
I got Jordan my phone because he dabbles. He's been dabbling a long time in this local area in different races. He hadn't called me back in 2 years though. Yeah. Thanks, Jordan.
He's a smart man, some would say.
Yeah, some would say.
He's gonna get with it.
I get nothing but abuse.
Brother, I get it. I get it.
I get abuse. That's all I do. Okay, great question. You're all over the place in Alabama. What's your favorite place to eat?
Oh,
we can be super.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So, just guys, I met Gary Brecka at Mar-a-Lago. Oh. Y'all know him. He's like the ultimate human. And he's like Barry. He says, guys that are 50, he said, we've been told to eat chicken. He said, eat steak. He said, because you process the amino acids differently. So a year and a half ago, I kind of got on this Brecka diet. So Alex is tired of steaks. But if I can find a good steak, that's where I'm going to eat because it has done a lot. I don't have the joint pain. I got away from bread and all that. But Brecka's like, and we had Tyson there, Ted Nugent. We had all these people. And my buddy's like, hey, that's Gary Brecka. I'm like, who's Gary Brecka? He said, just talk to him. Yeah. And so I had 2 hours with the guy. So to me, a good steakhouse, wherever that is, if I can find one, that's what I do.
He's a different dude, man.
Brecka is, man. He's a different dude. And they were auctioning off that night just 2 hours with him or a day with him. He gets $80,000 an hour.
That's awesome.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's
but Joe Rogan, Dana White, that's more than the mayor gets per hour.
Barely.
Yeah, but like Brecka's like, he's like, you do the cold plunges, do this, and this. So but I kind of the diet he's put me on is kind of, some fats very little carbs but a lot of protein. And so
Why do you look at me when he said fat, Joe?
no,
Oh,
it's
man,
some
I-
fats,
I-
not all
I
fats,
saw
just some.
him scanning you.
You look
Kind of scan.
Anyway, so
Scan.
without getting any of my restaurants mad at me, that's if I
There
can
you
find
go.
a good steak.
Great answer, Congressman.
Most political answer you're ever going to get from me. Yeah, because I'm like, because
He can't do it.
yeah, I'm like, dude, I don't need to
Somebody
pick a
said-
restaurant.
That's right. What's the best steak? Don't answer.
Yeah.
This is along those same lines. And when you talk food, people get
One that Joe cooks at his house on the
Yeah,
grill.
There you go.
That's what
Well,
I'm going to say for that.
I'll jump in that one now. Jesse's on the bay.
Haven't been there.
Oh my goodness, now.
Oh yes, I have been there. That's down in Ball and Mobile.
Yeah.
I thought you meant up here. I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't
no.
know, Jesse. I need to
What's
try
your-
that.
What's your favorite your hometown barbecue spot?
Probably Larry's. Cuts used to be good, but they're out of business now, and so Larry's barbecue's pretty good down
Larry's
there.
Barbecue.
Yeah, it's good. It's not, and then Hooks is good in town, so there's some good barbecues. So, yeah.
Yeah, we've answered it all now.
I mean,
Man,
that,
barbecue
that was
steak.
so
We're
deep.
down to
Right?
just,
That changed the election
Yes,
right
that,
there.
that did it.
You're done.
Right.
We're
That's
just down
right.
to 2 weeks from now.
He said eat steak. That's why I
Eat
heard
steak.
that.
That's right. Eat steak, boys.
Real quick.
If you're over 50, none of y'all are, but if you are, eat steak.
Please. Man, I left 50 a long time ago.
You circling back
South
to
of
it,
the
ain't you,
garage.
cuz?
10th grader ago.
Well, Alabama is doing some pretty impressive things. I mean, we're
Yes.
seeing from Mobile, the port there. Man, praise God for that.
Amen.
And all the way up to Huntsville, the Space Center. But right here in Rainbow City, the Challenger Center. That's a huge, huge win for this area and for this state. One of how many in the entire country?
35 in
One
the
of
world.
one of 35 in the entire world. Talk about that a little bit, and the things that you're seeing, the excitement that you're seeing in Alabama.
Yeah, so I've always said this, that Alabama had land, labor, and climate conducive to grow the economy, right? And so for us, it's about working with the delegation to recruit and relationships. If you call the president and say, hey, sir, we can do this. But whether it's Hadrian, 1,000 new jobs over on Shoals, I mean, Eli Lilly's $6 billion investment in Huntsville Space Command we brought to Alabama. And that was an effort with us and the president to make sure they didn't break ground. And to Chairman Rogers' credit,
Yeah.
we didn't let them dig any footers in Colorado because they were the 5th state on the review, but
That's
the first Democratic state.
Mm.
So Biden was trying to move it out there. And so I think that for us, Reagan always said it this way: the government's idea on the economy is when it's moving, you tax it. If it keeps moving, you regulate it. When it fails, you subsidize it.
Mm.
But if we can cut the taxes and regulations and we can lead the way in that, the subsidies are not necessary. Free market capitalism, although it's not perfect, is the best system we've ever devised. And so we market Alabama as an area of land, of a labor force, in which workforce development is huge. We know that. And a climate that we can bring industry here. And so when I was in the state legislature, vice chair of small business and commerce, we brought Airbus, Austell, Remington, Kimber. At the federal level, when President Trump talks about the golden age of America, there's a golden age for Alabama, and we can lead the charge on that. We've got to look at the state income tax because the states around us have done away with that. And so like Kevin O'Leary, he's like, I don't go to Alabama because of the state income tax.
Yeah.
And so we've got to figure out a way to market, but there's some adjustments that the state guys need to do. But we're going to work hand in hand with them. With the governor, obviously, we're going to have a great governor and coach. And the relationships through the delegation, I think there's an opportunity for us to do some great things for Alabama.
Well, we're gonna
Tired of winning yet, fellas?
No,
Nope.
we're
All
not.
right, we ain't tired of winning.
Hey, we're trying to win.
Amen.
We're going. Now's a great opportunity if you can just look at one of the cameras on whichever one.
We're
this
all
is-
in the middle would be
is
fine.
put
Up here?
Now
Or
the
your
chance
wide
for
shoulder.
you to ask the people of Alabama for their vote.
Yeah, so President Trump endorsed me. He said 3 things about me. He said, I'm a good friend, I'm a fighter, and I will not let you down. If you look at BarryMooreForAlabama.com, guys, highest Liberty score, there were 11 congressmen in the United States of America that got a perfect score with Heritage. I was one of those 11. So I've been the conservative fighter. When Republicans run, they say they're a friend, they're going to support Trump, they're going to be conservative. Well, look at my record. I'm not going to tell you what I've done. Just look at what we have, not what I'm going to do, but what I've done. So it's a record over rhetoric and a relationships with the president, things that we need to do to make sure truly America is great again with one of the greatest presidents in our lifetime. So we'd appreciate your support. Please vote for Barry Moore on June 16th.
Awesome. Mayor?
You did it again,
Man, good. We're good to go. I couldn't say it any better. They're not voting for me, thank goodness. But they would.
They would, that's for sure. Congressman, Miss Heather, thank you guys for joining us and hanging out with us a little bit. And guys, all we can tell you is, like we always do, stay close, stay clean, and everybody will be a lot better off